The UFC is headed back to Paris, and they're taking 14 fights with them. They have added a brand new fight to this card to make it one of the heavier cards of the year. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC Paris fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and bets. But before I do that, let me remind you, we've got some new content going on over here. We started these hot take type series, 3 to 5 minute videos breaking down one very specific topic. I've put out 3 so far. The first was, is Khalil Roundtree deserving of a title shot? The second was, is wrestling destroying the UFC? And the third was my personal Mount Rushmore. Check those out. Super easy to consume. Tons of engagement there. And don't forget about the vlogs. Every single pay-per-view, we film a vlog. Start to finish. We cook some really good food. We have a bunch of friends over. We react to the fights. We live watch them. We open up the mail. This last event, the mail situation was kind of wild. Somebody sent us used sex toys, or at least a prank about it. We got some Magic the Gathering cards, a random condom. It was a wild scene. We also got some incredibly, really nice high-end vodka and then a Young LA merch drop. Either way, check out the vlogs. They're a ton of fun. We film them for every single UFC event. UFC 307 is next week, so we'll record one for that as well. Here's a quick reminder of how well we have been doing. These are just my bets. Big Angie Boom Bots, sitting here right now. Over the last month, if you have been a premium member for 1 month, you have 5.24 net units of profit, 36% ROI from me alone. That doesn't even include Jakey Boy. And before one of you cries, but the safety parlay lost last week. It did. It did. The one parlay of the 7 bets I put on the board did lose. And that's the reality of the situation. You can't hit 100% of bets 100% of the time. But what I can do is give you consistent results week in and week out. This is the last 4 events, the last month alone. 5.24 net units of profit across every single one of my bets. If you want to unlock all the bets for UFC Paris, UFC 307, the 2 events after that, you can do so now. It's freaking $10 an entire month. If a unit for you is $10, I just gave you 5 months of profit. If a unit for you is $100, well, you can now feed your family. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's $10 a month. And it's not just unlocking picks and bets. You're also going to get tools. One of those tools is the Data Analyzer. This was just loaded yesterday for the future. We have fight cards all the way out to UFC 309. Every single fighter on those cards, all of their data points. You can interact with that data, live update this chart, and do your own research with tape study. If you click any one of the plot points on that chart, it is every single fight that that fighter has had in the UFC, and it pops right up, and you can watch that fight and do the tape study. You're also going to get tools like the Prop Hunter. This is a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. You're going to get the Line Movement Tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to get the DraftKings Optimizer. If you play DraftKings Fantasy, well, this will build lineups for you. A couple clicks of the button, it'll spit out 150 different lineups. And you're going to get more than just me. You're going to get more than just Baby Jake. You're also going to get Artem. Artem is invaluable with all the work that he does with the regional promotions. He'll give you his UFC picks and bets and breakdowns, but also the PFL, Bellator, LFA, the regional shows as well, and the artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence is picking bets based solely off of historical data, and it is doing so at a remarkable accuracy. Every single thing that I just mentioned is included in one package. No weird tiered games. No messing around with different sports. No messing around with fantasy versus bets. Every single thing is one package. $10 for an entire month. And if you sign up right now, you're going to get UFC Paris, UFC 307, and 2 more events after that. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Before we jump into this breakdown, here is the address if you want to send something for mail day. The mail has been getting more and more clever, and I love it because we're still getting the heartfelt letters. We're still getting the unique individual gifts and things that people send, but we're also getting some wildly clever stuff. To get 2 prank pieces of mail in 1 week for the last event was actually pretty funny. I'm looking at what I think is a poster right now that will open at UFC 307, and if you want to send something, you can. We would love to read your letters and open your things. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. I mentioned UFC added another fight. This is a stacked card with 14 fights. Not every single card is a high-level, drag-em-out war, but a lot of these fights are very good. The main event is solid. The co-main event is essentially a title eliminator. And this entire card has some peaks, valleys, and a bunch of good matchups here. Let's go ahead and break down all of these fights, including the brand new one the UFC just added. Opening up the UFC Paris fight card, we have Bolaji Oki taking on Chris Duncan. I'll tell you right now, on this fight card, I am very confident in the favorites. There's a bunch of dogs I'm very confident in. This is one of my more confident cards, meaning you're not going to get a lot of wishy-washy fence-riding Ange here. You are going to get, well, this could happen, but you're not going to get, I don't know what to do here, slight lean. For the most part, I think I know what's going on with this card. We got Bolaji Oki. This guy's a busy striker. He's got a good jab, lots of power. He likes to pump out that jab. He'll set things up. He'll explode in the combinations. When he does find his openings, he is in your face and he is ready to go. He's got good takedown defense, a fast sprawl, solid takedowns offensively if he decides to use them. He does tend to slow down as fight goes on, but he remains dangerous to the bell. His biggest issue is his defense. This dude gets lit up. You can hit him in the face. You can touch him up, and a solid jab is all you might need. He is coming off that decision win over Timmy Kwambo. He's taken on the tried and true, the very durable, the rose from the dead on more than one occasion, Christopher Duncan. Chris Duncan's a heavy-handed guy. He is tough as nails. He's never out of a fight. I have mentioned, we have seen him on more than one occasion essentially be knocked out and then just rise from the dead like it didn't matter, come back and win that fight. Style-wise, accurate striker. He does have some low hands, which means he gets hit a ton. He's got some power, and he is willing to bang it out. He will grapple as well. He's got 10 takedowns in 5 fights, but he can struggle with control, so it's not that hard to stand up on him. He is coming off that submission loss to Manuel Torres, where he was winning that fight, and then just decided to wrestle for no shot, no reason whatsoever. Just, hey, you know what? I'm having a ton of success striking here. Let me shoot a takedown like an asshole. That's what happened in his last fight. This is an interesting setup here because I think Chris Duncan's going to win this fight. I'm going with Chrissy Baby. Chris is an underdog, and I think he's going to pull it out. Chris has that solid jab I talked about, could land on Bolaji. Chris has a willingness to stand in the pocket and bang. Chris has what seems like a very good chin. Obviously, I say seems like because he does get dropped, so that's not great. But then he still survives, so that is great. It's a weird situation where eventually he's not just going to pop back up like he wasn't blasted in the mouth and almost unconscious. But I do think Chris's willingness to bang, Chris's willingness to just pump a jab nonstop, I think that is going to matter here. And Bolaji's not going to be able to hit that flow state. I think he's going to get frustrated with his head snapping back. And I think Chris Duncan pulls this off. I'm going to keep an eye on that line to see if he becomes a bigger and bigger underdog. Because if we get Chris Duncan in the high pluses, I might go ahead and sprinkle $1 or $2 on him. And if you are curious how to pick an underdog, Jakey Boy put out a whole video on how he gets to the lock of the week. And it is like, he seriously walks you through, here's the things that I do to find my lock of the week. And the reason he put out that video is because he's on an absolute underdog lock of the week heater. So people are like, how the hell are you doing this? And he's like, well, literally, here's how. So you can check out that video on the channel. Then we have a short notice Jacqueline Cavalcanti taking out a Nora Cornolle. Jacob has been trolling me about this fight already. Yesterday, I'm standing at my daughter's soccer game, watching her play, watching her all chase the ball around and just do what 5-year-olds do when they play soccer. And I'm getting texts from Jacob. And here's a spoiler for the pick. Nice pick on Cornolle. You're getting screwed. Jacqueline's going to run right through her. And I was like, I honestly disagree, obviously, which is why I picked the other side. His position is Jacqueline is very good. And Jacqueline's just going to dot up Nora. Nora's got a bad decision win, was losing a fight and then pulled one off. And Jacqueline has already won this fight. I eliminate the fact that this is a rematch from the equation because I don't care. If it was recent in the last year, even 2, fine. It's 3. We're going on 3 years ago. That doesn't matter anymore. These fighters have both changed too much since then. And he said, well, Jacqueline just stomped on Josiane Nunes and Josiane Nunes beats Nora. And I said, I thought Josiane Nunes won that fight. He said, terrible take, laughed in my face. And I know you guys felt similarly. When I reacted to that fight and I said, I think Josiane Nunes did well just moving forward with pressure. Half of you agreed, half of you didn't. And that fight, we're talking about Jacqueline's last fight. And that fight was a split decision. All in all, where I'm going with this is I'm about to pick Nora Cornolle. I'm about to tell you why. And I know I'm going to get a bunch of hate for that pick because I've already gotten the hate from my partner in crime, Jakey Boy. We'll start on the Jacqueline side. She's the one stepping up on short notice. She is a long striker. She uses footwork. She uses feints pretty well. She does a good job working your legs early to slow you down, and then she'll go to your head. She does try to keep that striking technical, and when she finds a rhythm, she'll work forward, she'll pressure. She'll even try to work in an occasional takedown. When she is moving forward, she's effective, but I don't like how she backs up. She is definitely a striker. She won't shy away from any cage control or trips. She's coming off that decision win over Josiane Nunes. It was a split. And Sal D'Amato was on the Jacqueline side. And you people love talking about how Sal is always on the wrong side of a split. So you tell me, was he on the wrong side of this one like you say he always is? Or, no, this one he got right. Pick a lane. I think he lost that fight to Josiane because, frankly, she was backing up the entire time. I am of the old school mentality. I don't score the fight like the new kids do. I do think cage control matters. I do think pressure matters. Control time, all of that. Not a lot of people feel the same, and maybe that's where the split is. Anyway, Jacqueline is stepping up on short notice to take on Nora. This is a rematch. Again, I don't care. Jacqueline won the first one. Doesn't matter. 3 years ago, people change, and we have seen more than one rematch with that distance between them where the first fight didn't matter. Nora is a violent striker. She's got some power. She's got some aggression. She does a good job using all of her tools. She'll elbow you when she's against the cage. She'll knee you when she's in the clinch. She'll punch and kick at range. She'll do everything she can to find a finish. She is a gamer who is always striking with something. She doesn't look to wrestle often, but when she's on the ground, she's got some solid BJJ. She will take some risks, taking some missions. She is coming off that knockout finish win over Melissa Mullins, where we saw the power, we saw the straight punches. Jacob would argue, well, she was losing that fight. Did she win, though? But did she win? I got the pick wrong when I picked against Jacqueline last time. I picked Josiane Nunes to win because I said I don't think Jacqueline fights well backing up, and Josiane Nunes is a bowling ball that only knows how to roll forward. And I thought Josiane did a good job. I could see how people think that she didn't win. I could see that because she wasn't as active as I was hoping. She was moving forward, but she wasn't throwing as much. If she threw just a little bit more, I think she takes that decision. And Jacob was showing me, oh, look at the stats. Here's all the striking stats. You show me which 2 rounds she won. Well, stats don't tell the whole story. Stats can't show you the forward pressure. Stats can't show you Jacqueline just backing up. And yeah, Jacqueline landed more strikes, but none of them were meaningful. They weren't cracking her. Josiane wasn't a bloody mess. Where Nora will pressure forward and be busier. She's not just going to sit and wait. She will pressure forward and she will be busy. And I do think Nora wins this fight. Am I confident enough to bet on Nora? No, you don't need to bet on every single fight. What I might do, though, is bet her plus 3.5. We don't have those prop bets yet. We probably will in the next day or two. And when we do, I'll jump on that. If you don't know what the plus 3.5 is, you're basically betting the spread. You are buying points on the judge's scorecard. The way that math works out is if Nora wins one single round on all 3 judges' scorecards, which is what Josiane did last fight, if Nora wins 1 round across the board, then the bet hits. She's such a big underdog right now that bet might be plus money. We have to wait to see what those props are, and if that bet is plus money or like minus 110, I'll probably do it, because even if Jacqueline wins, which she might, picks and bets are very different things. Even if Jacqueline wins, she's not going to stomp Nora. She's not going to finish Nora. It'll be a 29-28 most likely, and that's all I need for that bet to hit. So when that prop bet drops, I will let you know. If you're not a premium member, become one now so you'll see it instantly. You'll get an alert through the Discord. You can see it on the website as soon as you log in. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's freaking $10 for an entire month. And me, the person sitting in this seat recording this video, has given you more than 5 units of profit over the last 4 events in the last month. If you became a premium member within the last month, I personally, I'm not even including Jacob, who was on a wild heater, I personally gave you 5 units in net profit. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. That takes us to Megamind versus Victor Altamirano. We got Daniel Barez. This guy can be a fireball. And he's a very cerebral fighter. He's very focused. He's got a lot of thoughts in that head of his on how the fight should go. And he uses that. He's not the highest IQ fighter on the planet, but he certainly's got a lot going on upstairs. He can be a fireball. He sets a good pace. Bell to bell. He's got fast, powerful boxing, slick BJJ, good takedowns when he needs them. He trusts his BJJ, and he has no problem chasing submissions to find the finish. He can lose positions at times because of that. Because he's chasing for a finish, he could fall off, fall to the side, and just lose whatever control he had. But almost every single thing he chases is close. They're not empty chases. He sees something, he goes for it. His takedown defense isn't the best, but he does work on bottom. He creates some openings. He is coming back after a full year away and a submission loss to Joffel Filo. I'm sure he's been thinking about that loss for quite some time. He's taking on Victor Altamirano. This guy is fast. He's powerful on his feet, but he's also patient and calculated. He has an impressive 5-4 striking differential, which speaks to his pressure. His takedown defense has improved. It's at 63% now, but if he is taken down, he's very busy. He doesn't accept bottom. He's coming off that split decision loss to Felipe dos Santos, where he had 9 takedowns and he landed more total strikes. I do like Victor here. I'm picking him. I have no idea why I'm on so many underdogs on this card, but I think the first 3 fights I'm picking underdogs, and Victor's another one. It just seems wrong that Victor's the dog here. Yes, he's got 3 losses in the UFC, but he's an absolute gamer. He was in every single one of those losses. Nobody sparked him. He was in every single one of those fights. Daniel's coming back after a full year away. I don't know if he's even going to be able to get his head through the warm-up shirt. And he's not like amazing. He's good everywhere, but he's not amazing. I think he can chase submissions, lose those positions, and Victor can win those scrambles. Daniel is dangerous, but Victor's going to be the pick here. He is slick on his own right, and he has the overall better wrestling. Victor Altamirano is the pick. And if he gets a guillotine, there's no way you're popping your head out of that. We're going the dog here. Then we have Ailin OnlyFans Perez taking on Darya Zheleznyakova. That wasn't terrible. I was almost there with that. We'll start on the Ailin side. She is insanely popular in the OnlyFans world. She's one of the few fighters that started with an OnlyFans and built her MMA career at the same time. She wasn't a fighter that's like, hey, I'm not ugly. Let me sell pictures of my feet. And then started focusing on that. Hannah Goldie, for example. Hannah Goldie was a decent fighter, tough fighter. OnlyFans gets invented. Boom. Look at me. Ba, 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 va, va, voom. Not Ailin Perez. Ailin Perez started both and built them both at the same time. Her fight skills are improving. Her OnlyFans, I don't know, but I imagine it's doing incredibly well given all of the memes and everything else. And literally just how popular she is and how well known she is for that. So when a lot of you guys talk about the OnlyFans fade, Ailin Perez should not fall in that category. The OnlyFans fade certainly applies to fighters who are more focused on OnlyFans than their primary career. And that doesn't seem to be the case here because we've seen Ailin Perez improve time in and time out. Her striking's getting a little bit better. Her wrestling has been decent, and we continue to see the cardio improve. Non-stop forward pressure. She is mostly a grappler. When she's striking, she's got a long jab. She'll use it to plot forward. She'll try to bully you, get fights to the ground with trips, drags, actual takedown attempts. Once she hits the ground, she can be a little too aggressive. Her control isn't fantastic, but it doesn't matter because there's another takedown right behind it, and that pressure is unrelenting. She's coming out the decision win over Jocelyn Edwards, where we all thought, hey, listen, Jocelyn's pretty good, and it didn't matter. Ailin Perez ran right through her. A knockdown and 6 takedowns. She's taking on Darya. Darya is a fun, come-forward striker who will throw everything at her opponents. She's got big, heavy 1-2. She'll follow up with a leg or body kick, and then she'll throw heavy knees. And she'll keep those inside the clinch. She'll keep them in scrambles. She likes to walk you down. She likes to outwork you. Everything she throws is with intent, and she has no issues with a firefight. Takedown defense is just okay and likely a problem in this matchup. She's coming off that decision win over Montserrat Rendon, where I thought, honestly, and again, you might yell bad take, I thought Montserrat Rendon won that fight. Maybe I just like forward pressure more than I should. But Montserrat was the one pressuring forward. And I don't know how you win a fight just backing up the whole time if you're not destroying somebody. If we go back, we watched Jessica Andrade lose the fight because she was just marching forward and getting dotted up. But Darya wasn't dotting up Montserrat Rendon. She was just backing up. She'd land a few shots here and there, but she wasn't like wildly elusive in making things happen. Either way, I think Ailin Perez wins here. I mean, she's a big favorite. A lot of people think she wins here. I think the over 2.5 is wildly confident as well. I like Ailin in this matchup. The one and only concern is we watched Darya get taken down a bunch of times in her last fight and win a decision. Vegas does tend to hate wrestlers, but luckily this fight is not in Las Vegas. Ailin Perez should win this fight. The forward pressure, the takedowns. Hopefully she's got that full 15 minutes of cardio, which we have seen from her in the past. And she's not dangerous. She's basically a Marab, not nearly as good, but like lots of wrestling, lots of pressure forward, no danger whatsoever. Over 2.5 should be good as well. Then we have the newest addition to the card. This fight was just added. Neither one of these fighters were already on the card. It's not as if Taylor was on the card, lost an opponent, and they just found it. Neither one of these guys were on the card. They obviously slapped this together to get Taylor on the card. Regional guy, doing pretty well in the UFC, somebody they want to build up. So the UFC moved some things around, brought Vince Morales back from the depths of regional MMA. We got Taylor Lapilus. Fantastic kickboxer, incredible footwork. He does a very good job working in and out of range. He comes in for his attacks, he'll throw a combination, he'll hit a few strikes, and then he will back out. By the time his opponents throw their own strikes back, by the time they react to what he's done, he's already gone and he's out of the pocket. Taking him down is your path to victory, but it's not the easiest thing to do. He does really well defending actual takedowns, meaning he's pressuring the head, he's getting his hips out, he's widening his base. He's not doing these like stupid side hammer fist strikes that do literally nothing other than keep you focused away from the task itself, which is defend the takedown. He's coming off that bounce back win over Cody Stamann, where the striking volume was there. That has been a criticism in the past. The striking volume was there, and so was the takedown defense. He's taking on Vince Morales. Vince Morales is a decent striker. He's got okay boxing. He makes up for any technical gaps he may have just with nonstop forward pressure and volume. He's always moving. He's always working up something. He's got legit power in his hands, but he does tend to go to it often by headhunting, and then he will fizzle out if he doesn't find that finish. He was cut by the UFC in 2022, but he's racked up 5 wins on the regional scene with 5 finishes. This fight's brand new. I mentioned it's short notice for both of them. Vince, thankful for his second opportunity in the UFC. Taylor, thankful that he gets to fight at home. And I am thankful we have this because this is another confident pick. I think Taylor runs right through him. Vince is going to come out looking for an early finish, and I think Taylor is just too elusive, too good of a counter striker, too good of footwork to get caught up in a brawl and get blasted early. So I think he weathers an early storm and then pieces Vince apart the rest of that fight. I'm very confident in Taylor here. My one and only concern would be if Vince Morales comes out looking the same way that Youssef Zalal did. If you remember, Youssef was cut by the UFC, went on the regional scene, won some fights, came back. And since he came back, he looks like a completely different fighter. He looks absolutely spectacular. It is possible that Vince Morales is in that camp as well, but I don't think so. Taylor Lapilus is the pick. Then we have kickboxer Ludovit Klein taking on Roosevelt Roberts. This isn't the greatest matchup because it should be a pretty one-sided fight, but it should be entertaining nonetheless. We got Ludovit Klein, very good striker. He's smooth, he's fast, he's accurate. He does a really nice job keeping fights technical. He'll hide kicks behind a jab. He never throws anything lazy, gets out of position, or ever throws one strike at a time. Solid takedown defense at 90%. He will look to offensively wrestle if he's losing the striking exchanges. And he's coming off that dominant win over Thiago Moises where he dropped him a handful of times, took him down, and more than doubled his strikes. He's taking on Roosevelt Roberts. He's a talented guy. He's been in and out of the UFC since 2018. His overall UFC record is decent. He is 1-1 on his season of The Ultimate Fighter. He's very long. He's got good fast hands, good movement. He uses his jab well to set up solid leg kicks. He also has good offensive submissions when he isn't pulling guard for a guillotine. He has done that on more than one occasion. Overall, he's a dangerous guy, but he can be chinny and can be taken down. He's coming off that first-round submission loss to Mateusz Rebecki. Obviously, Roosevelt can win this fight. These are fist fights. Anything can happen. We have seen it time and time again. But he's not going to win this fight. Ludovit is literally better than Roosevelt everywhere. He's faster. He's more technical. He's got better hands. Good jiu-jitsu. Good wrestling. Good takedown defense. Ludovit wins this fight. Should be no surprises there because the odds reflect that as well. But even at these current odds of minus 700, Ludovit Klein feels like a discount because there are levels to this, and I think Ludovit is just a completely level higher. Completely level higher. A complete is... Yeah, let's just remove the word completely because I think Ludovit is a level higher than Roosevelt Roberts. See how we talk through that and we get this going? Then we have Oumar Sy taking on Woon Jung. Oumar Sy is a gentleman that the UFC is looking to build. A superstar in the making, maybe. Certainly somebody the UFC is looking to turn in to a regional superstar. He's a beast. He's a walking highlight reel of knockouts, of submissions, explosive actions. He can strike, he can grapple. He's mostly dangerous as a striker, but he will grapple. He will shoot the takedowns. He will make things happen. He has 8 finishes in 10 wins, and that highlights his danger. But what I like to do when I see these very dangerous guy with a high finish rate is go watch the decisions. What did he look like in a decision? Is this guy like first round or nothing? Or can he continue to fight? And yeah, of course, he slowed down in his 2 decision fights, but he continued to move forward, continued to make stuff happen, and didn't full-blown death gas. He didn't panic either. He's coming off that successful UFC debut where he had 2 takedowns and a first-round submission. He's taking on Woon Jung. This guy's a technical boxer. He is very big for this weight class. Obviously, Oumar is going to match that height and reach, but Woon has done a great job over time being the taller guy, the longer guy, and using that well. He's got solid wrestling, solid clinch work. He's very well-rounded. He can win anywhere. He has wins with 8 takedowns. He has wins with early knockouts. We've seen him do everything across the board in a mixed martial arts fight. At one point in time, he was on a 16-fight unbeaten streak. And they say unbeaten instead of win streak because there was a draw in the mix. And now we're watching the downward slide, the back end of that streak. He's coming off his 3rd loss in a row. This time a submission loss to Carlos Ulberg a little more than a year ago. UFC knows how to make stars. They know how to do the right matchups. They know how to build people up. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Because they're giving Oumar a fight that he could absolutely win. But they're also giving him a fight against a guy that has a ton of highlight footage. So when you're sitting on your couch Saturday watching UFC Paris, there's going to be a whole bunch of footage of Woon Jung tossing people around, knocking people out, submitting people. And they're going to be like, this is one of the most dangerous guys. He was on a 16-fight unbeaten streak. Look at what he's done. They're just going to ignore the fact that he's coming off 3 losses in a row. And then they're going to bring in Oumar. Oumar's going to beat him. And they're going to be like, oh my God, he just beat this guy in that wild streak. That's how this is going to go. Oumar Sy wins this fight. The UFC knows how to build a superstar. He's kind of affordable in the minus 400 range. That's not going to last long. By the time the fight comes around, he's going to be minus 7, minus 800. Then in the featured fight of the evening, we have, or featured prelim, we have Jan Cutelaba taking on Ivan Erslan. This is a somewhat controversial fight because Jan Cutelaba is a kill or be killed kind of guy, and he's taking on Ivan Erslan, who can do some killing, and somehow Cutelaba is the favorite. And a lot of people agree, a lot of people disagree. But let's go ahead and break him down. We got Jan Cutelaba. This guy's a grappler who happens to have very good power in his hands. He's happy to fight in a phone booth, despite the fact that his chin doesn't really want him doing that. He is feast or famine. He will chase stoppages, potentially get stopped while doing it. He's good on the ground. He racks up tons of takedowns, but he can be sloppy with them. Body locks, drags, pulls, just using strength more than actual wrestling technique. He's coming off that 9th UFC loss, but he did manage to get to the scorecard somehow. He's taking on UFC newcomer Ivan Erslan. This guy's a powerful striker who can end your night with one single punch. He can alternate between technical, low volume, and just in-your-face brawler. He has decent movement, relatively light on his feet given his size. He likes to plot forward, explode into counters. If he has you in trouble, he is unrelenting and will just let his hands go. You're not going to see much in the way of offensive grappling, and his defensive grappling definitely has some holes. And that is why he is likely the underdog. Because when I first watched the tape and I first saw some odds, I was like, why is Ivan the underdog? Like, we all know how easy it is to finish Jan. I was surprised to see that he was the dog. And then 5 fights into tape study, I was like, oh, there's a takedown. Doesn't do a great job defending them. He was taken down. He turned his back. He panicked a little bit. And that doesn't bode well because Jan Cutelaba can grapple. He can get takedowns. You see he's averaging more than 4 takedowns per 15 minutes. And if Jan is in that mindset, I need to get a win to keep my job, and just starts wrestling immediately, he can 100% without question win this fight. But if he's going to hang out a little too long on the feet, he's going to get knocked out. I am going to pick Ivan Erslan. I'm not going to bet on him. I'm not betting on a UFC newcomer. Like, I'm not doing that. So all the people that just track picks and just want to be like, well, you went to... Picks and bets are very, very different things. I opened up this whole breakdown showing you my results over the last month. Up 5 units of net profit. There was definitely some incorrect picks in the mix there. There has to be. There has to be. Last week, I picked the co-main and the main wrong, and I was still up money. Picks and bets are very different. I am picking Ivan Erslan. No bet here. No bet. Maybe under 1.5 when that line drops. We'll see what the odds are. But I'm not betting on Ivan. UFC newcomer has too big of holes in the grappling department. Ivan's going to be the pick, but just you don't need to bet on every fight, especially on this card where we have 14 of them to choose from. Before we get to the main card, let me get $50 in your wallet. If you go to wewantpicks.com/bets, we have affiliate links. If you use one of those affiliate links to create a brand new account and make a deposit, we send you $50 as a thank you. It's literally that simple. You're going to use the link. You'll sign up. You'll make a deposit. They're going to pay me money. Then I'm going to slice off $50 and give it right to you as a thank you. You can use that money to become a premium member, but before you sign up for that, don't forget we got some new content. Let me know if you like it. What's so funny is obviously I'm on here every week breaking down fights, giving you my thoughts and opinions. But for the most part, we're in the long form category. This video is probably going to be about an hour. The Tuesday video with Jacob's a lot of fun, a lot of back and forth, a lot of ball busting. That's about 2 hours. And then I got a couple of other videos that are a little shorter. What we didn't have, though, was the short form hot takes type stuff. Hey, here's my opinion on this very one specific topic. Maybe it's a 3-minute video. Maybe it's a 7-minute video. But I started rolling that out. And what is funny is there's no middle of the road. I actually find myself as a very reasonable person. I can see 2 sides of things and then land on my own decision. Sometimes you guys hate that. Just pick a fight. Just pick. Who do you think is going to win? Well, unfortunately, I can see 2 sides of an argument. And the hot take stuff is interesting because if you run through the comments on the hot take stuff, first of all, people tend to miss the entire point. Like when I said, I think the UFC should discourage some of these boring wrestlers. You're taking the M out of MMA. And I imagine that dude was screaming and he had Cheeto dust inside of his belly button when he typed that. But it is funny to see how passionate people are, and I absolutely love it. Check out some of those hot take videos. I've done 3 so far. We're going to do more and more. If there's a specific topic you want, let me know as well. I did Is Khalil Roundtree deserving of a title shot? That is timely with UFC 307 next week. I did Should the UFC discourage the lay-and-pray wrestlers? The answer is yes. And then I just did my Mount Rushmore of MMA. So check those videos out. Anytime we put out new content, it takes a little while for the wheels to start going there. But that stuff is up, and we're going to do a lot more of that. Now, here's the results. 5.24 units of net profit over the last freaking month. Become a premium member to hopefully, can't guarantee the future, but hopefully have the continued success. It's no accident that I was up money last week, up money the week before that, up money the week before that, up money the week before that. That is not an accident. That is a ton of research, time, and effort. I'm very proud of the product that I have built and the product that I'm giving you. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's $10 for an entire month. You're not just going to get the picks, the bets, and the breakdowns. You're also going to get tools. Data Analyzer is a tool that we built from scratch, literally coded it from scratch. It was just loaded up yesterday for the future, all the way out to UFC 309. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. And here is the address if you want to send some mail for the Fight Foods vlog. UFC 307 is next weekend. We will be opening up the mail, reading the letters, reacting, doing all the things. It is We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. Opening up the UFC Paris main card, we have Firas Ziam taking on Matt Frevola. This is a fight that got a little bit of... I don't want to say controversy because it's not controversial, but I got some backlash with my pick here. A lot of people disagree with this pick. And that tends to happen when you pick a dog. But we got Firas Ziam. This guy's a long, rangy striker. He'll work well in the clinch, but he typically wants to manage range, and he does that with leg kicks. When he decides to close the distance, he'll work to that clinch. He'll have some elbows, and maybe he'll squeeze in a takedown or 2. Technical fighter, he likes to avoid risk. He picks his shots well, and he only engages when he sees an opportunity. He takes his time. He looks to point his way to victory. He's coming off the sketchy win over Claudio Puelles, where he was taken down constantly But he was given the decision because of his pressure and his ability to absorb zero damage whatsoever. He's taken on Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola is a very tough wrestler. He never stops coming forward. He doesn't have very technical striking, but that does not stop him from moving forward and just bombing away with huge looping shots, or in some cases, even sloppy back fist. He's averaging almost 3 takedowns per fight, a low 40% takedown accuracy. He does have 14 takedowns in 10 UFC fights, but it's very inconsistent with when he actually decides to wrestle. He is coming off that knockout loss to Benoit Saint-Denis, where he did decide to wrestle and then ultimately ate a shin to the face. I'm going with a dog here. I'm surprised that Ziam is not the favorite. I'm surprised he's the underdog. Because sure, Matt Frevola does have some wrestling. He has some power in his hands, but he has cardio issues. Firas is a master at avoiding danger. Firas has that French savate style, the avoid the chaos type style. He's only hit with 1.72 significant strikes a minute. Yeah, he's only landing 2.7, which is a low, boring number, and there's nothing exciting about a Ziam fight, ever. But the dude knows what he's doing. He knows how to avoid danger. And without the danger, Matt Frevola is not technical enough, not calculated, not patient, doesn't have good enough cardio to win a slow technical fight. I think Ziam wins this fight. Not to mention, Matt Frevola didn't have Merab for the majority of this fight camp. And if he's going to win this fight, it's going to be with forward pressure and a lot of wrestling. I am going to pick Ziam. I am expecting this fight to be boring. And the comments were like, what do you mean? Matt Frevola's never been in a boring fight. And you're right, Matt Frevola is not the one I'm worried about being boring. It's Firas. And I think Firas wins. And if he wins, it's boring. That's how he's going to win this fight. Ziam is going to be the pick. Then we have an always exciting Morgan Charriere, and he got a little bit of a gift of a matchup here in Gabriel Miranda. Gabriel Miranda stepping up on somewhat short notice as Morgan did lose his original opponent. But Morgan's a guy that I absolutely love watching fight. He's an explosive striker. He is light on his feet. He stalks his opponents, and then he will leap into punches. He will work for control. He does a very good job of being all the way out of the range or all the way in range. When he's in, he likes to tie up so he can work knees and control. When he's out, he'll stalk you. He'll leap into those punches. He's got solid takedown defense and a few takedowns of his own. He is very good everywhere. Fantastic cardio. He's coming off that split decision loss to Chepe Mariscal, where a lot of people feel that he was robbed. He's taking on Gabriel Miranda. Gabriel Miranda is a slick grappler. Throwback to the days of all jiu-jitsu, and that's kind of it. He has okay takedowns, but for the most part, the striking's not there. He's an old school BJJ guy. He'll work from position to position. He'll look for submissions instead of pounding away on top. The problem is that he is submission or bust. He's just so good and so comfortable with jiu-jitsu that he's totally fine getting the takedown, getting taken down, and just chilling on his back like a cockroach, just shaking the arms, shaking the legs. They come on, papa. Trying to get a sweep, but ultimately getting elbowed in the mouth, hanging out. He is coming off that submission win over Shane Jung where he needed less than a minute to get it done. So the reality is, while he can be a little too comfortable on his back and not really force the action, Gabriel Miranda is dangerous. He can play spoiler here. He can shock the world. But Morgan's going to be the pick, and pretty confident pick at that. Even though his official record says he lost to Chepe, what I saw was a guy with very good striking, very good wrestling defense, very good cardio, very good scrambles, a bunch of intangibles that you can't teach. Morgan Charriere could be that guy. He's got 10 losses, which is honestly kind of shocking. But the reality is he got that stuff out of the way so that he can be here for this fight having some success. I expect him to absolutely dominate in this matchup. Then we have Kevin Josette taking on Brian Battle. This is a really good fight. This fight matters very, very much. Two prospects with very good records, doing all the right things. One of them is going to be knocked down a peg, while the other one, we're going to be talking about, wow, how good is this guy? Because we got Kevin Josette. He's a stocky striker. He'll plot forward, low hands. Volume is not great. We did see it in his last fight, but previous to that, volume wasn't great. When he does close the distance, he likes to work you to the cage for control. He likes to get the takedowns. He is insanely patient in everything he does. He uses his size to slow you down. His takedowns are slow, his striking is slow, but he is big for this weight class. He's very strong, and he knows how to use that size and strength. He's coming off that decision win over Song Kanan, where he landed an insane 134 significant strikes. He's taking on Bryan Battle. Bryan Battle's an absolute dog. Constantly pressuring, constantly working towards something. He has shown us that he's got solid ground game. He's never out of a fight. He averages only 1 takedown per fight, but he has a miserable 28% takedown accuracy. He is improving at an incredible pace. Every single fight that he is in, he physically looks better. His skill sets are more polished. They're more improved. He's coming off that no contest where Angelo, where he beat the absolute shit out of him, and then there was an eye poke, and Ange took the easy way out, essentially. I've been very successful picking Bryan Battle fights. I've picked every single one of his fights correctly, including the time he lost to Renat. And it was that loss, the loss to Renat, when I really was like, holy shit, Bryan Battle is good. Because he was taken down over and over and over, and never one time did he accept the position. He never stopped working. He never stopped trying to get up. And it's that tenacity, that work effort that we see is in the gym, and it's physically transforming him. His skills are transforming. Bryan Battle has no quit in him whatsoever, and I think Bryan Battle wins this fight. I think Bryan Battle absolutely wins this fight. I've got a small bet on him here because Kevin Gisette is good and could potentially slow the pace. Plus, it's on home territory. It might be a screw job with the scorecards, but I think Bryan Battle's forward pressure, willingness to never stop, Bryan Battle's range, he is the longer guy, even though he's not technically the taller guy. I think Bryan Battle gets it done, and he is going to be the pick, and this is a very, very good fight. Then we have another fight that's either nuts boring or wildly exciting, because we got the boring French Savate-style striker and the really fun shoot-a-box fighter in Joanderson Brito. We'll start with Gomez. Well-rounded guy, and he does have plenty of finishes. So I said boring. I use boring a little loosely, but the finishes are, we'll talk about the most recent one. He can knock you out, he can submit you, or he could just outwork you. It's hard to label him as any one thing because he's genuinely good everywhere. He's got decent Muay Thai. He's got opportunistic grappling. He'll snatch things up in scrambles. The criticism is that he can be low volume. At times, he's just looking to counter and wait. He has almost 45 minutes of cage time, and he still lands fewer than 3 significant strikes per minute. 45 minutes in an octagon. One of them was against Giannis Gomori, who is not UFC level, and he still averages fewer than 3 significant strikes landed per minute. That's the criticism. But he can't sit and wait in this fight because he's taking on Joanderson Brito. This guy is fast, he's athletic, good top pressure if he gets a takedown, wide array of submissions. His striking is not technical, but he will come forward and he will bomb. He has more than one knockout of people just absolutely flatlined, face down, bleeding into the canvas. He's got big, wide punches, heavy kicks, no regard for what comes back his way. But even though he is comfortable striking, he will look to get it to the ground, and he will look to work from there. He averages more than 3 takedowns per fight, but he can be taken down if you pressure him. He is coming off that 5th finish in a row, this time from insane leg kicks that split Jack Shore's shin wide open. And for some reason, I don't know if it was a sick fetish or what, for some reason, the doctor just kept shoving his full thumb inside there. Just kept like, look at this. I shouldn't have done that. That was disgusting. Listen, Gomez can be dangerous. But Brito is literally the most dangerous guy at this weight class. He can submit you. He can knock you out cold. He can kick you so hard that your shin literally opens up like the earth in the summer. He's an absolute savage, and I think he wins this fight. Low volume Gomez won't know what to do with the insane pressure coming his way. With that being said, let's hope Brito doesn't blow his load early. The guy hasn't been to a decision in a very, very long time, and sometimes fighters start to feel that. They don't train the way that they should be training because they don't need to. They're getting early finishes. If Gomez can survive early or just get on his skates, run backwards in circles, he could potentially wear out Joanderson. Joanderson can lose the sting off his punches and then lose the 2nd and 3rd round to lose a pretty boring decision. Or he smokes Gomez early. I am picking Joanderson Brito here. Cardio where I hate when we don't get to see fighters in decisions recently. Because cardio matters very, very much. And how many times have you and I been burned because some guy didn't do what they were supposed to do in the gym? Then we have our co-main event of the evening. A very good fight that likely ends with a title fight. This is likely a title eliminator. I had some absolute cheese pocket in the comments say, did you say Brendan Allen with a win might get a title shot? LOL. And I was like, yeah, wait, what is controversial about that? The dude is on a wild win streak. A wild 6-fight win streak over ranked opponents. What the hell was wrong with that statement? Well, Sean Strickland. Yeah, dumbass. That's the next fight. Sean Strickland and Dricus is the next fight. And if Brendan Allen wins this fight, he's probably the one after it. Who else would it be? Who else at middleweight has done more to earn the next title shot? If Brendan Allen wins, and that's a big if, because he's taking on Nasruddin Imavov. Nasruddin Imavov is a busy striker. He's constantly working towards his opponents. He can strike, he can counter-strike while moving forward. He's got a nice jab, solid elbows, and he looks very comfortable mixing it up. He has takedowns and solid control when he wants to use them. He averages about 1 takedown per 15 minutes, but he doesn't rely on them very often. He is coming off that TKO win over Jared Cannonier, where he controlled the striking pace and took over late. He's taking on Brendan Allen. Weirdo personality, Brendan Allen. He is on that 6-fight win streak, probably gets a title shot with a win here. And before you say, but Caio Magales, shut the hell up. That's all I have to say about that. Anyway, he's a BJJ black belt with solid low kicks, solid takedowns, good striking overall. He has had a nice evolution. He came into the UFC as just a pure grappler. Then people were like, you need to strike more. So then he overcorrected and was only striking for a good chunk of time. Dude, he was outstruck by Punahil Soriano. And then it corrected itself. And now he's in the middle, doing the right things, mixing up striking and grappling. He is starting to feel himself. So much so that he's attacking Marvin Vettori on a casino floor for no reason whatsoever. That's why I said weirdo personality. Brendan Allen seemed like a nice dude. And now all of a sudden it's like, what are you doing? You're fist fighting people. Like, what are you doing? Don't you have a wife and kids? Be like Dustin Poirier. And I'm used Dustin because they're both from Louisiana. Be like him. Likeable guy, nice guy, pretty level, not attacking people on casino floors for no reason, acting like a hood rat. You're not a hood rat. Actually, I don't know where he's from. He might be. But he's acting a little crazy. Attacking my Italian brother, Marvin Vettori? Despicable. This actually is a very good fight, though. This fight does matter very much for the division. But I don't think Brendan's going to get his title shot out of this because I do think Nasruddin Imavov wins. I don't think Nasruddin should be a 2-1 favorite. I think that's kind of crazy. But I do think he wins. Brendan does continue to improve. He does continue to literally defy the odds. But I think Nasruddin's just a little too big, a little too good of a wrestler. Brendan Allen was having mixed success in his last fight with Chris Curtis. He was getting touched up. So then he went to the wrestling, and that was the difference. He's not going to be able to do that to Nasruddin. He's not going to out-wrestle Nasruddin. I think he'll struggle with the striking a little bit, and he's not going to have the backup plan. Nasruddin Imavov is going to be my pick. The fact that this is 3 rounds instead of 5 only helps Nasruddin here. I do think the over 2.5 is pretty solid. I think this goes to the decision. And the last little fact I'll give you, so I picked Imavov, and this is a story that Jacob told on our call-in show where we had Isaac Dolgarian. Because I was talking about him, like, dude, Brendan Allen's becoming weird. And he's like, oh, the head thing? And he was talking about the big bushy hat that he wears. And I said, no, not that, but what about it? Apparently, Shavkat Rakhmonov gave that bushy head thing to Brendan Allen. And since Brendan Allen got that, he hasn't lost. That's what kicked off the win streak. Turns out Shavkat's powers are inside of that dead raccoon, whatever the hell that head is. And then we have our main event of the evening. A very good main event, a very entertaining main event, a main event that does matter very much for both of these careers. Does Renato Moicano continue this career resurgence? Does Benoit Saint-Denis get smoked the second time in a row to just be a busted prospect? Either way, I think it's a good fight. I don't think this is a fight that sucks. This is not a Valentina Shevchenko win back the belt type fight. We got Renato Moicano, high-level BJJ black belt. He is also a technical striker. He does not really have the stoppage power, but he does have good volume, good pace. His chin's very shaky. My notes right in front of me say a bit shaky. I said very. I'm adjusting it. A very shaky chin. But he is tough and he is skilled. He averages almost 2 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 45% takedown accuracy. but he doesn't have the cleanest takedown. He usually ends up clinching or dragging to the ground. He is coming off that come from behind win at UFC 300 where Jalen Turner had him 99% knocked out. But because Jalen's an idiot and decided to admire his work and wanted a walk-off and a bonus, literally gave Renato the time to recover and to get back up. If Jalen Turner just smothered, he would have won that fight, but he didn't, and that's his fault. He's taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. This guy's a strong wrestler with well-timed shots, a ton of pressure on top. He's got good old-fashioned, lower your level, attack the legs style wrestling, and that is very effective for him. He has 7 fights in the UFC with 18 takedowns, and that's absolutely incredible considering he has only been to the 3rd round 1 time. He's had 18 takedowns, and he's only ever once seen the 15-minute mark of a fight. When he gets it to the ground, he's got good pressure. He works for submissions well. He's got a ton of power on the feet, and he brings that all the way to the ground also. He is hittable. He is all gas, no brakes, but he did just get broken down by Dustin Poirier in the 2nd round after dominating the 1st. And I mentioned this the last time I talked about this fight, but what's ironic is these guys are on mirror images of their last fights. Renato Moicano got the shit kicked out of him, came back and won. Benoit Saint-Denis did the shit kicking and then lost. I don't know if this fight is more of the same. I do tend to think we've got some solid back and forth and then Benoit just takes over. This really comes down to the fact, do you think Benoit actually had a staph infection? There was that big dot in his head. He lost to Dustin. He uncharacteristically slowed down, and he was like, well, I had a staph. I was on antibiotics. And that's what antibiotics do to you. They'll slow you down. They'll rip the cardio out from underneath you. So if you believe that the only reason Benoit lost is because of the cardio, well, then you need to be on the Benoit side. Or sorry, because of the staph, then you need to be on the Benoit side because it doesn't look like he has staph in this fight. But if you think that was just an excuse after the fact, then you might need Moicano to just weather an early storm. Let Benoit gas out and slow down. Either way, I am on the Benoit side. What he did to Dustin in the first 5 minutes, that's all he'll need here. What he did to that dude in the first 5 minutes is literally all he will need here. That exact same fight, but on Moicano's side, Moicano's not as tough as Dustin Poirier. And that's not a slight to Moicano. That's a praise for Dustin Poirier. Renato Moicano's good. He's building a career for himself outside of the octagon, which is what every single one of these fighters needs to do. And he's funny as hell. He's got plenty of skills. It's not his fault his chin isn't always there. You're just born with that. That's not something you can fix. But I do think Benoit's all gas, no bakes pressure. I think he's too good of a grappler to get caught up in something. Too powerful of a striker. Renato is not dangerous enough to matter. He's not dangerous enough. If Renato had huge, big counter-punching power and Benoit's coming in all sloppy and stupid, 100%. But that's not the case here. Benoit Saint-Denis is the pick. Guys, we've been doing well. And if this isn't a reason to become or to stay a premium member, I don't know what is. It's all about consistency. Anybody can lose 13 cards in a row, win one, and be like, look at me, I made money. You know how hard it is week in and week out to be consistent, to put up solid numbers every single week, and that's exactly what I've done. That's exactly what Jacob's done. Become a premium member. It's only $10 for an entire month. You're going to get the picks, the bets. You're going to get the tools like the data analyzer. The biggest feature of this is the fact that you can stack filters, meaning you can run a report. You can pull up, in the example you're seeing here, it's Bilal Muhammad. And I want to see in his wins that went to a decision, how many takedowns did he get? What was that average? And then you can see the chart. And you can click on the little dots to watch the actual videos. The fact that you can filter the data, and then the fact that you can click a button and watch the fight, anything that you could possibly ever want or need for research. You're going to get the prop hunter, the curated set of data to find prop bets. You're going to get the line movement tracker so you can monitor odds, see who's gaining, who's losing, see which direction the value is headed. You're going to get the DraftKings optimizer preloaded with the best ownership projections in the game. And you're going to get the artificial intelligence. You're going to get Artem breaking down the regional shows. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is only $10 for an entire month. Guys, fights are back. We're done with the sporadic cards. We're done with the random breaks. We will hit 30,000 subscribers this week, and I appreciate every last one of you, even the weirdo haters with the negativity in the comments. Without all of you, we don't have any of this, so I appreciate every last one of you.